Halt dich fest!
Before it became a Hollywood icon, McKay's Kenworth K100 Aerodyne was just another workhorse roasting under the California sun. But once the cameras rolled for BJandtheBear, that steel beast on 18 wheels turned into something far greater, a symbol of freedom, rebellion, and chrome-plated Americana. Its roar became the soundtrack of late 70s television, and its red and white paint burned itself into pop culture history. Yet behind that polished grille lies a trail of mystery. Why did one of the real trucks vanish halfway around the world, rumored to be hidden somewhere in the Australian outback? Who carved a secret signature beneath the fifth wheel, a mark that only resurfaced decades later? And why did the show's producers blow up a fully functional Kenworth for a single stunt scene? One so explosive, it shattered windows 3 blocks away. Every dent, every weld, every mistake tells a story. So buckle up, because we're about to uncover 20 of the weirdest, wildest secrets behind McKay's legendary Kenworth K100 Aerodyne, the truck that made America fall in love with trucking. Number 20, the cabover revolution. When BJandtheBear first aired in 1979, truckers were stunned. Instead of the long-nosed conventional rigs that ruled American highways, B.J. McKay drove a cab-over Kenworth K100 Aerodyne, short, flat-faced, and futuristic. Producers wanted something that looked fast even when standing still, and the K100 delivered exactly that. It was the truck of the new era, built to meet strict federal-length laws while maximizing trailer size. Real drivers noticed this wasn't Hollywood fantasy. It was the same machine they drove every day. For the camera crew, the cab-over's design was a gift. The massive windshield allowed them to film both Greg Evigan and his chimp co-star Bear in the same shot. It turned every scene into a postcard of open-road freedom. What began as a practical choice soon became the visual DNA of the series, the flat-faced hero charging down the American highway, 18 wheels blazing. Number 19, the red and white fever. That blazing red and white paint job wasn't random at all. The show's transportation team spent weeks designing a color scheme that would explode on late 70s television screens. Under the California sun, the deep crimson gleamed like candy apple lacquer, while the white roof reflected heat and kept the cab bearable during desert shoots. But the look did more than please cameras. It created a cult. By the early 80s, paint shops across the U.S. were flooded with requests for BJandtheBear replicas. Real truckers copied the stripes, hoping to capture a little piece of TV glamour on their own rigs. Professional pinstripers later confirmed the original striping wasn't decal. It was hand-painted artistry, done with surgical precision. What millions saw as a simple two-tone finish was actually a work of craftsmanship, even today. Restored versions reveal pinstripes that shimmer under show lights, reminding fans that this truck wasn't just a prop, it was rolling art. Number 18, the hidden fleet. Most viewers assumed there was only one truck, but in reality, BJandtheBear ran a secret fleet. At least 6 Kenworth K100 Aerodynes were used during production, each slightly different, each with its own scars and quirks. One handled dialogue scenes, another was rigged for stunts, and a third was perpetually in the shop for repairs. The producers became masters of illusion, swapping trucks between scenes without anyone noticing. To the obsessive fans of today, those tiny differences are gold. Some trucks had chrome mirrors, others painted black. The CB antennas changed sides. Even the dashboard colors shifted from episode to episode. The crew joked that if you froze the right frame, you could spot a completely different truck mid-conversation. But back then, before HD and streaming, nobody cared. Continuity errors hid beneath the blur of analog television, and the legend of one perfect truck was born. Number 17, the secret signature. When truck restorer Paul Sagehorn discovered one of the original BJandtheBear Kenworths, it looked more like a ghost than a legend. Rust crawled across the once glorious red paint, and weeds grew through the floorboards. But during restoration, he found something extraordinary. Welded under the fifth wheel were the words BJandtheBear by WS. No one knew who WS was, perhaps a welder from the production crew who wanted to leave his mark in steel. Hollywood craftsmen often signed their creations in secret, knowing their names would never appear in the credits. That hidden inscription became Sagehorn's obsession. He decided the truck deserved to be reborn exactly as it once was. Every stripe, every chrome bolt restored to perfection. It took 3 years and more money than most homes cost. Yet, when the engine finally roared again, that little signature under the fifth wheel proved one thing. Legends aren't built by stars or directors, but by the hands that forge them. Number 16. The Stunt Truck Graveyard. Television in the late 70s was brutal on vehicles. BJandtheBear treated its Kenworths like expendable soldiers in a war of stunts. Production logs later revealed that at least 4 trucks were completely destroyed during filming, rolled, burned, or twisted beyond repair. One stunt truck jackknifed so violently that its frame bent in half. Another went up in flames after a miscalculated jump. And yes, they used the footage. Writers kept demanding bigger chases, higher jumps, and louder explosions. The insurance company threatened to cancel coverage twice. One script even called for BJ to jump his 18-wheeler across a ravine. And they actually tried it. The truck made it halfway before diving nose first into the dirt. The wreck was sold for scrap, its television fame ending in a junkyard. Behind every glamorous chase scene, there was a graveyard of mangled chrome and shattered steel, the real cost of Hollywood's obsession with spectacle. Number 15. The Siege Explosion. The second season episode, Siege, required a climax that no special effect could fake. The script demanded the total destruction of a Kenworth K100, and the crew obliged. Instead of mock-ups, they rigged a fully functional truck with real explosives. When the detonation came, it was apocalyptic. The blast shattered windows 3 blocks away and sent flaming debris raining across the desert. Drivers on a nearby highway stopped, thinking a fuel depot had exploded. The aftermath was chaos. Firefighters were called, property owners filed lawsuits, and the director was banned from using explosives for the rest of the season. But on camera, it was glorious. One of the most spectacular real explosions in television history. To this day, metal detector hobbyists still find fragments of that Kenworth buried in the California desert sand. It was destruction turned into art, a reminder that in 1970s Hollywood, they didn't simulate danger. They built it, filmed it, and then blew it sky high. Number 14. The White Pillar Mystery. Among fans, few debates burn hotter than this one. Did the original truck have red or white windshield pillars? Watch 10 episodes, and you'll see both. Some scenes show bright white pillars framing the cab, others deep red matching the body. For years, enthusiasts thought it was a repaint or lighting issue until a former production coordinator finally confessed the truth. The studio bought trucks from different Kenworth dealers, and each dealer had its own factory paint specs. Instead of repainting to match, the producers simply hoped no one would notice. In the pre-HD era, they were right. But when DVDs and remastered footage appeared, continuity fans went wild. Online spreadsheets now track every pillar color by episode, frame by frame. Restoration experts still argue which version counts as canon. The surviving show truck wears red pillars today, though many believe the true hero truck, the one that carried McKay through most of the series, proudly wore white. Number 13. The Chrome Obsession. By the second season, something strange began to happen. The truck kept getting shinier. Chrome mirrors, chrome bumpers, chrome air cleaners. The prop department joked that the Kenworth was catching Hollywood disease. It wanted more attention. In truth, the growing chrome count reflected both storytelling and sponsorship. BJ's fictional business was expanding, and so was the truck's look. But there was no consistency. One week the truck had painted fenders, the next week chrome quarter panels. Sun visors changed finishes. Even the mud flaps switched logos mid-season. Today, no 2 episodes show the exact same configuration, which makes accurate restoration almost impossible. Fans call it chrome creep, the slow transformation of a working truck into a mirror-polished superstar. Under studio lights, it looked spectacular. Underneath, it was still the same dusty workhorse, quietly carrying the weight of a TV legend. Number 12. The Vanishing Truck in Australia. After the show ended, most Kenworths were sold off to real truckers. They hauled freight for years before disappearing into scrap yards. But one took a very different route, all the way to Australia. Shipping logs confirm that a BJandtheBear Kenworth arrived in Sydney in 1984, purchased by a local company for parades and promotional events. For 2 years, it toured festivals, a rolling slice of American TV nostalgia. Then suddenly, it vanished. No registration, no sale records, no scrapyard reports, nothing. To this day, Australian truck enthusiasts still search for it. Some swear it's hidden in a warehouse in the outback, perfectly preserved. Others claim it was bought by a private collector who refuses to display it. Whatever the truth, that missing Kenworth became a ghost story of global trucking lore, proof that some Hollywood legends don't fade. They just drive off into the horizon. Number 11. The odometer illusion. When Paul Sagehorn bought the rusted remains of his BJandtheBear Kenworth, the odometer read an impressive 440,000 miles. At first glance, that suggested a full career of highway hauling. But in television life, mileage means nothing. On set, trucks spent hours idling for lighting setups, moving a few feet at a time, or simply running so cameras could record the rumble. The engine had been rebuilt multiple times, the transmission swapped out, and the fifth wheel showed deep wear from years of real hauling after the show. That's right, this Hollywood star returned to work. For a few years after cancellation, one of TV's most famous trucks hauled real cargo across the Southwest. Its chrome faded, but its heart still beating. Somewhere on I-10, a random shipment of produce once rode in the same cab that carried a chimpanzee named Bear. For fans, it's poetic justice. A truck born from fiction proving its worth in the real world. Number 10. The Bear-Bryant Connection. Most people assume Bear, the chimp, got his name from his cuddly charm. Not true. He was named after legendary Alabama football coach Paul Bear Bryant, a tribute from series creator Glenn A. Larson, an avid college football fan. To make the homage clear, the chimp occasionally wore a houndstooth hat, Bryant's iconic pattern. The joke turned into TV gold. In 1980, Greg Evigan and Bear actually met the real Bear Bryant during a halftime ceremony at an Alabama game. The coach found it hilarious and posed for a photo with his primate namesake, a photo he later framed in his office. When Bryant passed away in 1983, the chimp's trainer said Bear would become excited whenever football played on TV, as if recognizing an old friend. The show may have been pure entertainment, but that meeting blurred the line between fiction and reality in the most heartwarming way. Number 9. The Missing Peep Windows. Sharp-eyed viewers eventually noticed something odd. In some episodes, the sleeper on BJ's Kenworth had small side peep windows, while in others, they were gone. The reason? Chaos. When the show was renewed for a full season, producers scrambled to buy more trucks, any K100s they could find. Some came from fleets that had ordered theirs without the optional windows. Installing new ones would mean cutting into the cab structure, a costly and time-consuming job. So they just rolled with it. The cinematographer learned to frame scenes carefully. Dialogue shots used the windowed hero truck, while chase scenes used the solid-sided backups. The result was a kind of cinematic shape-shifting. BJ's truck seemed to gain and lose windows mid-episode. Fans later joked it was the world's first Transformer. In truth, it was just television pragmatism at its finest. Illusion over logic and storytelling over symmetry. Number 8. The Trailer Experiment. One of the strangest props in BJandtheBear wasn't the truck itself, but what it pulled. During several episodes, BJ's Kenworth hauled a Fuhoff trailer fitted with an experimental sliding axle system, a design so rare that even veteran truckers had never seen it. This wasn't Hollywood magic. It was real technology on loan from Fuhoff, a manufacturer testing ways to distribute weight on the fly. The sliding system let the driver adjust the axle position depending on the cargo. Cotton bales 1 week, heavy machinery the next. But here's the twist. That trailer was a prototype, one of only a handful ever built. After appearing in 12 episodes, it disappeared from the show and from Fuhoff's records. Years later, enthusiasts traced it to a scrapyard in Mexico, its faded lettering Bear Enterprises still visible. The sliding axle idea was later abandoned as too complex, but for a brief moment, Hollywood gave experimental engineering its 15 minutes of fame. Number 7. The Turn Signal Chaos. Continuity errors on BJandtheBear became legendary, and none was more notorious than the turn signals. In some scenes, the indicator lights were mounted beside the cab doors. In others, they were integrated into the headlight assembly. Sometimes they even changed sides mid-turn. The reason was pure production madness. With multiple trucks built differently, electricians spent hours rewiring to make them look consistent, and often failed. In one infamous chase scene, BJ signals left with fender-mounted lights, but when the camera cuts, the glow moves up to the headlights. Letters from angry fans flooded the network. The producers responded cheekily, claiming BJ's truck had special highway modifications. Of course, no one believed it. For detail-obsessed viewers, it became an inside joke, the only truck in the world that could move its turn signals by magic. Number 6. The Detroit Automatic Secret. Not every BJandtheBear truck sounded the same. One in particular roared differently, sharper, meaner. That's because it wasn't powered by the usual Cummins diesel. Hidden under its cab was a Detroit 8V92T, a two-stroke turbocharged monster paired with an automatic transmission. At a time when truckers viewed automatics as unreliable, this was heresy. But for stunt work, it was a game-changer. The automatic let drivers focus on precision instead of gear shifts during high-speed chases. The Detroit's snappy throttle made burnouts and close passes smoother on camera. Unfortunately, it also created audio chaos. Editors had to dub over every scene to keep the engine sound consistent. The stunt truck eventually died in a rollover, its frame twisted beyond repair. But the Detroit engine survived, reportedly ending up in a fishing boat on the California coast. From Hollywood highways to open seas, that engine truly earned its second life. Number 5. Bear Enterprises Mayhem. By the third season, BJandtheBear went full throttle into chaos. The storyline introduced Bear Enterprises, a trucking company run by BJ and 7 female drivers, each with her own rig. On paper, it sounded like fun. In practice, it was a logistical nightmare. Overnight, the production had to manage more than 14 Kenworths, plus backup vehicles for stunts and transport. Parking lots became gridlocked. Filming permits skyrocketed. Insurance costs doubled. The transportation team could barely keep half the trucks operational at any given time. When breakdowns piled up, writers rewrote scripts around whichever truck still ran. Entire episodes were restructured because a few rigs wouldn't start. What was meant to symbolize independence and teamwork instead nearly bankrupted the show. It was the moment when the fantasy of the open road collided with the reality of Hollywood production, loud, messy, and unsustainable. Number 4. The Restoration Nightmare. When Paul Sagehorn began restoring the surviving Kenworth, he didn't realize he was stepping into a mechanical time capsule and a horror show. Every layer he peeled back revealed scars from the show's chaotic production. The frame had been rewelded 6 times. The cab floor was riddled with old camera mounts and extra bolt holes. Under the seat, they even found a bizarre lever system once used by crew members to make the driver bounce during rough road scenes. The electrical wiring looked like spaghetti. Multiple CB radios, disconnected air horns, and abandoned film lights had been spliced into the system. Rebuilding it took 3 years, thousands of labor hours, and a small fortune. But when the truck finally rolled out in its restored glory, people cried. It wasn't just a vehicle, it was a living relic of TV history, a monument to the craftsmanship hidden behind the cameras. Number 3. Fan debates and misconceptions. Few vehicles spark as much online debate as McKay's Kenworth. To this day, enthusiasts argue over every bolt and paint stripe. Some claim the red and white scheme was a factory Salem color used by Kenworth long before the show. Others insist it was custom-made for television. Forums overflow with theories. It had a 15-speed Eaton Fuller. No, it used an Allison automatic. Even the K123 badge continues to divide fans. Comments under modern retrospectives reveal 2 camps, those defending nostalgia and those demanding accuracy. A bunch of wrong information in this video, one viewer rants. Another replies, "You can't even pronounce cabover properly." Yet amid the chaos, a deeper truth emerges. The legend endures precisely because it's imperfect. Each flaw invites obsession. Each inconsistency fuels passion. In a world of disposable media, the fact that people still argue about a TV truck from 1979 might be the clearest sign that this machine transcended fiction. It became folklore. Number 2. The legend lives on. Decades after BJandtheBear faded from television, its trucks still roam. Now as showpieces, one restored Kenworth regularly appears at U.S. truck festivals, gleaming under the sun, surrounded by fans snapping photos and telling childhood stories. Another, reportedly spotted at a Flying J truck stop in Georgia, still runs occasional hauls, driven by a father and son team who treat it like family. Collectors across America hunt for original parts, badges, and even pieces of scrap believed to come from the destroyed stunt trucks. Each fragment carries a story, each restoration a tribute to a shared memory. For a brief moment in time, a red and white cabover and a chimpanzee taught America that trucking could be heroic. And decades later, that lesson still rolls on. Chrome shining, engine rumbling, heart alive. Number 1. The Phantom K123. And before we reveal the final truth, if you've enjoyed this journey through trucking history, don't forget to subscribe and tell us which fact blew your mind the most, because this last one might just rewrite everything you thought you knew. Here it is. The Kenworth K123 never existed. That's right, there was no such model. Every truck that appeared in BJandtheBear was officially a K100 Aerodyne, yet for decades, fans, magazines, and even dealers called it the K123. How did that happen? According to a former writer, the show's creator, Glenn A. Larson, simply misheard the model name during an early production meeting, mistaking K100 for K123. By the time anyone noticed, it was too late. The pilot had been filmed, the promotional posters printed, and the legend was rolling. Kenworth's marketing department was furious, but the damage was done. Soon, real truckers began asking dealers for K123s, and some shops even made custom badges to satisfy the demand. It became the most famous truck model that never existed, a phantom born from a typo. Today, collectors treasure those fake emblems because they remind us of something beautiful. Mistakes can make legends. In the end, McKay's Kenworth K100 Aerodyne wasn't just a truck. It was a symbol of a time when television dared to dream big, when every mile of road was a promise of freedom. It blended steel and story, horsepower and heart. And even now, decades later, its ghost still rumbles across screens, across memories, across the imagination of anyone who's ever loved the open road.